Okay, let's talk about finding, creating, and assigning activities in Seesaw. When you enter your classroom as a teacher, by default, you're on the journal version of it. The activities that have been assigned appear under the little activities tab with the light bulb, but that's not where you go to assign them. To assign them, you go up to the big green add button and choose assign activity. That's going to take you to your own personal activity library. So those are activities that you've made yourself or activities that you have saved from your school or community library. So I'm going to cruise over to the community tab. This is the big Seesaw community library. Teachers from all over the world submit their activities here. So you can pretty easily restrict. You can search by keyword. I like the pop-ups here. So if I am looking for something for pre-K math and numeracy, I can just go ahead and restrict it down. And I can look through lots of activities that other teachers have designed and published to Seesaw. I'm going to go ahead and choose this one, shape identification. So you can read the instructions here. You can play the audio instructions that have been pre-recorded. You can take a look at the template that the students will see. If you like it, you can assign it right away, or you can heart it, and it will save it to your own personal library. So I'm going to go ahead and click back on the My Library tab. One of the nice things that happens once an activity is saved into your library, the little three dots down here in the main library, the only option there is share. But here you'll see add to collection, copy and edit activity, remove or share. This copy and edit is great because I know a lot of times I see an activity that's like 80 or 90% perfect for my students. It's like, oh, if only it had X, or if only it asked them to do Y. So if I copy and edit, it's going to make a copy of what was on the original community library, but I can go in and change my directions. I can re-record the instructions if I want to add something a little more personal, and I can customize the template. So that's a really nice option to have. I'm not going to save it because I was just using it as an example. So I'm going to click the green assign button, and you can see I can check any class that I am a teacher in or a co-teacher of. I can select it. So I'm going to go ahead and select a class. And then each class you'll see has a little link beside it, edit students, folders, and skills. I'm going to click on that. And I can go in and decide, do I want all the students to have this activity or only some? So if I were differentiating for different students in my class, I would uncheck the all and just check the individual kids that would have that. And if I have folders, I would go ahead and add that to a folder so that the student responses will go right into that folder as they complete it. Once I've done all of that, I can either click the green assign button, which means it will be assigned right now to my student. Right now, they'll get a push notification to their device. Right now, it will appear in Seesaw. Or I can go over here and click the gray schedule button. So for home learning, our sort of office hours are Monday through Friday, 9:30 to 3:30. So I'm going to go ahead and say that this should drop to my students at 9:30 a.m. on a school day. When I check the green check mark, now you'll see that the green assign button has become more specific. Assign on that date at that time. So I can go ahead and check that. The activity is assigned and it's ready to go. So that's how I can assign an activity after searching for it in the community library. But what if I want to make an activity myself? I can go to create new activity. I need to give it a meaningful name. Think about the instructions you want. So I have my text instructions down now, but I really should make this a little more comprehensible. Okay, you can see I've done quite a bit of work on my instructions. The outline of my project has changed shape a few times as I tried to talk through the voice instructions for it. I decided that my original plan didn't make sense, so I changed it. You'll see that I have gone to my Google Drive. I've gotten the Seesaw icon shortcuts for activities and just copied and pasted those in after I already wrote my text instructions. I went ahead and put in appropriate shortcut images so the kids will have some visual cues. And then in addition, I recorded some voice instructions. It's literally just me reading the instructions for the activity so that they have some auditory support. In addition, I can add multimedia instructions or an example. I'm going to choose Upload, select from Google Drive, and I'm going to choose, where is my 2D, 3D shape walk? I'm going to choose that. Okay, so now you can see that my Google slide deck has been flattened into a PDF. It's separated out into multiple Seesaw pages. I can go ahead and add additional things to this if I want, or I can just check the green check mark and say I'm good to attach it as it is. So now you can see that the example or directions are attached here. Next, I can add a template for student responses. So I'm going to add a template for student responses. I can choose to do a drawing that'll give me as many blank pages as I like, and I can add text boxes, mark it up, include shapes, change the background, etc. right in Seesaw. I can build my pages for response. In this case, I don't want to do that. I'm going to use my exact same Google presentation as the response template. Once it's in the student response template format, I can go in and add a little bit more to it. So for example, I may want to go ahead in and drop a little help for kids, just a reminder. I can add some text. This is looking very large right now. So I'm going to go in, I'm going to change the style a little bit. And then I can move it, scale it. So yeah, I just want to help students out a little bit here. Even though they saw the directions, they listened to them, that was back out at the instructions before they clicked the add response button. So I want them to have that reminder in here. And I'm going to actually do that for each and every one of my response pages. The other thing I want to do, if it's something that I don't want the kids to move, I'm going to click the lock button. And that's going to prevent accidental dragging and moving and changing of these objects. The kids are allowed to unlock it in their response template. They can click the three dots and unlock it, but that requires a deliberate effort. So it's just less likely for your items to get dragged all over the place. Once you're done, if you do want to lock your items, you do need to go down and lock each thing down. As a guideline, you'll notice that my background is locked by default. That was imported in from Google Slides. So if you do want to build some templates in Google Slides, anything that doesn't need to move, put it in the Google slide. And then anything that you do want students to move, manipulate, or change, add it here in your template view in Seesaw. Okay, so I'm done with my student response template. I'm going to click the green check. So I have an activity name, I have clear instructions, I have audio instructions. My clear instructions have Seesaw shortcuts built in to make them more comprehensible. And I have an example attached in addition to a template for students to respond. I'm ready. My activity is done. I'm going to save it. If you get partway through and then you're like, oh no, I didn't do the student response template, that's fine. You can save it. Don't assign it. Go make your response template and come back and edit it later to finish. So here we are back in my personal activity library. I'm looking at my completed activity here. If you like, you can contribute this activity to the main Seesaw library. There are some ShapeWalk activities already there, but I don't know if they're a 2D, 3D ShapeWalk, so I'm going to say go for it. I'm contributing it. I'm going to choose grade levels. I'm going to say that this is a grade 1-2 project because I'm pretty sure that's when those types of 3D shapes are introduced. And this is a math activity. Anytime you like, you can remove it if you do submit it. What I have done in the past, I don't contribute it necessarily at first. I try it with my own students and then maybe edit it and fix it up a little bit and then contribute. So now it's ready to go. I'm going to assign it to my students. So I'm going to choose the class I want. If you're wondering why I'm using the teacher class, it's just so that student names aren't visible. I'm going to go in. I want to assign it to all students. I want it to go into the math folder, green check. I don't want to assign it right now. I want to schedule it for the day we come back from, spring break, 9:30 a.m. And I'm going to click assign. So now what you'll notice, I can see that under the scheduled tab in activities. And it tells me when it's going to drop for students. I can edit anytime up till it drops. I can edit the day or time I want it to be scheduled. If I'm like, no, never mind, I don't want that at all, I can delete the activity and it'll just go away out of this class entirely. It will still be in my, if I delete the activity from here, from my scheduled activities or activities that are assigned to class, it will still be in my activity library. So I'm not deleting it permanently. I'm just deleting it from the activities assigned to that class. I can still get to it here. I can delete it permanently, but in general, I would say keep stuff in your library. You never know when it's going to come in handy. You can always edit it or copy and edit it to modify it and adapt it for your students or different set of students, or refer it to somebody you think it'll be good for. Okay, so now we have an assignment that's scheduled for your students, and maybe you want to film a little mini lesson of you walking through and modeling how you'd like them to complete that assignment. So you can find the assignment and click the green Add Response button, then choose Sample Student, because that won't actually go into any of your real students' journals. You can model for them like, oh my gosh, I forgot to read the instructions. and point out to them that they can always go back and see the instructions by clicking the View Instructions button at the top, including listening to the audio instructions or viewing any media instructions or example that you had there. Or they can dive right into the template. So I'm going to point out, step 1, take a picture of each kind of shape. Step 2, record, then circle each shape and say the name. So I would click camera and then click camera again to take a photo and drop it right in there. So sometimes you're going to want to demo something on Seesaw, but you won't be able to screen record it because the thing you want to demo on Seesaw needs to use your camera or your microphone. So in that case, what I suggest you do is use your desktop computer or your laptop computer or a friend's iPad or computer to record you demoing. So I can record myself on my laptop carrying my iPad around the house, and then I can show on the screen that I'm pressing camera to take a picture, and I can show on my iPad that I'm tapping the record button and recording myself drawing a circle around my shape and saying the name of it. After you click the record button, you're going to grab the pen, circle is this shape. I'm not finished, but I'm out of time, so I'm going to click the draft button so that I can save this and finish it later. When I'm done with the whole thing, then I'll click the green check. So now you can see this orange draft bar. So your students will see that as well in their journal, and they'll have an edit button on the orange draft bar so they can go in and complete their draft things. In addition, in their activity menu, it will show, instead of a green add response button, they will have an orange edit draft button.